Hello everyone, my name is Tara and welcome to Aligning to Love. In this channel I aim to spread hope, joy, peace, and love to the world by sharing goodness and love within my life. In this video I wanted to share my personal and family life updates and events and the signs I saw along the way. In the last video that I uploaded, it was talking about my transition for my family, moving from our apartment, and the first week we had lived with my parents for the month of August. And I left off talking about how my daughter and my husband and I went to the Eco Center and learned about all the different types of fish and their habitats in the lake, as well as the history of the area. And I had also ended saying that it was a beautiful day, the sun was out, it was just gorgeous weather, and we ate lunch at the marina on the lake. And I had said that we didn't get to go to the ocean this summer. And while that was true, we never got to the ocean again in July and August. We were able to take a quick trip at the last weekend in June before my husband started his new job. But that was such a whirlwind of a trip that I had completely forgot about it when I did the video for the night before. And it was also a really big milestone because my daughter was able to independently play in the sand. She was able to walk up to the ocean and go in the shallow waves. And so that was such an incredible time, and I'm really thankful that I did get to the ocean. And I could have spent a week at the ocean during that time, but I am thankful for the few hours we did get to the beach. And we also got to see my relatives who live in Maine, so that was another really great part of that trip. And like I said in the previous video, whenever I'm near large bodies of water, whether it's the ocean or lakes or rivers, it's so refreshing. Whether or not I go swimming, it just recharges my mind, my body, my soul, and I just feel so much better. And so I just wanted to set that straight before I moved into the week 2 of talking about moving in with my parents. And one thing I wanted to share about today that really made the highlight in my day is that this plant right next to me, I don't know if you can see, but it has blossomed into these beautiful flowers, and there's more in the front, and I had never noticed it until earlier today. And another thing that made me so happy today is over the last few days, we had lost all of our snow. We had lots and lots of snow from November to the second week of December, and then we got this warm front and it just completely took all the snow away. But today it was snowing and it was softly falling, and we have a white Christmas. Hopefully it will stay for the white Christmas, and I just think it's so peaceful to be able to watch the snow fall and either drink hot chocolate or drink tea, something warm. And so that's what I really enjoyed about today when I was home with my daughter. My daughter had to get her COVID second booster yesterday, and so I had hoped to do these videos last night, but she wasn't feeling too great and she still was kind of recovering from symptoms today. So that's why we waited a day before I got more videos out, but I'm hoping to get a lot out tonight. So on with talking about week 2. In August, during the first and second week, I was really strung out. I was really excited to be with my parents and in my childhood home, but at the same time, there were 3 really big stressors happening for me. One was that during the transition of the move, when I was home with my daughter in our apartment in July, I was just so exhausted by the end of each day, and I didn't have the energy to go back into my computer and save all my documents that I had created or that I had organized for when I was teaching at the past school that I was at for the time span of the 10 years I was there. I had a lot of lesson plans and newsletters and pictures that I would have loved to just save and make sure that I had for just my memories. But unfortunately, the summer went by, weeks went by so fast, and I just never got around to it. And so the first and second week of August, I knew that school would be starting, in-service would be going on for the educators, and the tech people within the district would be closing my account. And as they should, because I was no longer a staff member at that district. And so I was scrambling to try to save things and do as much as I could. And luckily, a few nights, probably the third and fourth night of August, I saved quite a bit of a few years worth of documents and lesson plans and curriculum things and photos from units that I really wanted. But like I said in my previous videos, I'd been having so much tech issues that even if I was able to save the 10 years worth of things that I had accumulated, there was no way that I was able to save them on my computer or on my external hard drives because my USB ports weren't working. So in hindsight now, looking back at it, it kind of makes me feel better because I was so worried that I would need all of these materials and that if I didn't have them, I would be in a bad situation, which doesn't really make any sense because it really forced me to think about that I need to leave the past in the past and I need to let go and that everything would be okay. And even though I am going to be keeping up my teaching license, I believe that I do have what I need to document everything and to renew my license for the following years. And for me, it was just a hard lesson to accept that that's where I was and that the door was shutting. And it was a lot of just knowing that I was kind of losing an identity portion of myself that I had for so many years. And that was okay and that I was changing and expanding. And so, but during those 2 weeks, it was not, I did not have that mindset. But as time passed, it's become a lot easier. The other things that I was really struggling with during those first 2 weeks in August was just making sure that we had the experts in the medical fields and dentistry for doctors, dentists, and pediatricians for the move. And I wasn't having very much luck for lining those up. I think the dentist was the easiest piece that we were able to quickly get into. And on top of all of that, trying to get our mail situated, I had successfully transferred my name into the new address, but my husband had not. For some reason, something was being blocked not blocked, but just not processing in the way that we needed it to for his name. And all of the new insurance things were under his name. And so if we weren't getting our mail, we weren't getting all of the new information and updated health cards and all of that. So that was really stressful. And so there was a lot of factors that were really stressful during those 2 weeks of August. But I have to say it was really nice, and it was the perfect phase of my life to be able to be with my family, the ones who loved me from the start and who still love me more than anything today. And the extra comfort that they gave during all of those fiasco situations and just like anxiety provoking just events, it was just really nice to have them as support. And my parents have never been one to solve my problems for me. They've always supported us, and they've always given us the tools to be independent and to solve our problems on our own. But just having the comfort of knowing that they're there to lean on and to hear what we're going through was just exactly what I needed. And they were doing their part in helping us find other resources for professionals. So that was really helpful. And so going on with the pieces that were highlights that really stuck out for those 2 weeks was that just having the quality time with my parents. And my mom and dad, they're very active. They're both retired, but my mom teaches fitness classes, and she still does lots of aerobics. She takes other people's classes at the center in town. And not only that, she also is very social. So she has hiking groups, she has social outings with her friends, whether they go biking or hiking or just getting together to have company with each other. And my dad, he goes to the gym every day too. He also has other routines and things he does in town. And so even though we were living with my parents, everyone still had their routines and schedules that they continued to do, and we had time and space for each other but also apart, which was healthy, and it was a good balance. But one thing that I really enjoyed is that my dad would always make sure that we would have breakfast with him, and that he didn't, because my mom would sometimes be gone for her classes, for her the lessons that she taught before we even got up. But my dad would always stick around and have breakfast with us, and it was just a really nice way to start the day. And he didn't have to do that, but he always did, which was really fun. And then at dinner, at the end of the day, it was always another special moment of each day and the weeks that we had with them to sit down and share a meal with my family. And when you're an adult and you have your own family as it is, you don't get those opportunities as often. So I definitely cherish those dinners and every meal with them. And the other part, that took a lot of stress off too, because my husband and I, we always made sure that we pitched in for supplying food and whatever supplies or things that they needed for the time that we were living with them. And they would always just say, it's easier for us to cook the meal, but if you want to get the ingredients or the food items from the store, that would be great. And so that's how we did, and that's how we did it the whole month that we lived with them. And it was so nice that we basically just provided food and they provided food, and that we got those home cooked meals with, you know, the love that your parents put into making those. And we did a lot of the cleaning up and just making sure that we balanced whatever they were giving us so that we were giving back in return. Some other parts of the first and second week that we did for events that were really special is that my mom and I would go to Hannaford's in town. And for us, it was not just like get in, get out, get what you need, and get back home, like it is sometimes when you're either by yourself or when you have your kids with you. But we really took our time and we were able to be social, and sometimes we'd bump into people that we knew. And I also got a new pair of sneakers with my mom at one of the first trips that we made together. And my sneakers, I'm someone who lives in sneakers. I have a couple of wedges for fancy events, but the majority of my life I am in sneakers. And some of the treads on my sneakers that I had were flat, like I had no traction whatsoever. So it was great to get a new pair of sneakers. And the other part that I loved about going to the store is Juniper, my daughter, she loves doing errands with me. And when we would go with my mom, it was nice to have all of the generations of my mom and me and her. And she never understood really what a sticker was until we went to the Hannafords, because then they offered her one and she was like, oh, what is this? And she would get different characters, whether it was Pooh Bear or a Dr. Seuss, or one time she got a llama. And she's also gotten Minnie Mouse and characters from Disney shows and movies. Just the other day when we went, she got a Lilo and Stitch sticker. And I always love seeing what they either give her or what she picks, because I love seeing the characters, and I love seeing the different symbols that may pop up. And for me, it's just like I would get excited for what she's gonna get. Almost as if it was me that was getting the sticker. But so those are just some of the fun everyday things that I would always look forward to. During the first 2 weeks with my parents, I really did appreciate everything that they did in supporting us. But I was really missing my next door neighbor that I had in the apartment. Lois was somebody that I had always lived near for the last 10 years, but because of our hectic schedules, and her husband had been going through a lot of medical issues, and so she had a lot on her plate. And so we didn't really get to spend too much time socializing during the majority of the time that I lived there. But the last year or so, we really did get together more often, and we went out to breakfast or lunch, and we just got to know each other. And I always wondered, why did I get to know her so well at the end of when we were living there? But I'm really thankful that I did. And so we would text a lot when I moved back in with my parents, and she's so funny, and she's so down to earth, and she's just a wonderful soul, and I had really missed her. But whenever she would text me or whenever we got to catch up, it was always a highlight in my day. Some other highlights that happened was that we took my daughter to the East Middlebury playground where I used to go when I was a kid. So it was really special to bring her. The whole playground really changed, though. It used to be wooden. I felt a lot more activities, like zip lines and bouncy things, and now it's all plastic, and maybe there's more of a tennis court and basketball court, so there's more courts available, which is good. And they even have a section that's a skateboarding park, which is new, which is pretty nice for the kids who are into that now. And a lot of the playground structures are higher up than I remember, so Juniper didn't get to really do too much of that aspect, but she did get to go on a swing for the first time, so that was really special to be able to do with my husband and her. And some other things that were highlights is that we got to try new foods from different restaurants in town that I hadn't been to in many years, because I had been in White River for 10 years, and we got these really big burritos one night from a place called Mad Taco in town, and that was really fun. Another highlight that I remember, especially in the second week, is my mom and dad, during this past Easter, they had given Juniper a Sesame Street beach chair or lounge chair. And earlier in the year, she wasn't really able to figure out how to sit down to actually stay in the chair. But during that second week in August, she and my mom had been really practicing how to sit down, how to get your body in a chair, and then stand up without falling over. And there were little pockets in the chair where she would put her toys and her little their knitted hearts and all these other trinkets that my mom always gave to her. And so that was really special. And then I think what I'm gonna end with one more thing that was really big for me. There was a lot of emotional lessons I feel like I had learned in the first and second week. And one of them is that because I knew there wasn't as much storage space at the house that we would be renting in, I knew that we had to get rid of a lot of our items. And I was someone that I never thought that I'd be able to have a child biologically, and whether or not we had children biologically or if we chose to adopt, for me, clothing, especially little baby clothing, is so sentimental for me. And I knew that we were going to have to donate a lot of her newborn all the way up to 16-month clothing, because even if we chose to have more kids in the future, we just wouldn't have the space in this house. And so that was a big, like, again, another lesson of letting go. And so, but the benefit of letting go of anything in life is that you make room for new things to enter. And I'm so happy because in town we have this store called June Bugs, and it's a secondhand shop for children's clothing. And so everyone can donate their kids' clothing, and then they can either do it as a donation and not get anything in return, or families that have growing kids, they can be, it's almost like you have a tab for however many clothings that you donate, you can have that amount of money towards clothing that you need to fit your child at the age they're in. And so we were able to get so many more clothing and dresses and pants for fall, and fleece jackets and things that we would need not only for the summer but for the fall and the winter as well. And so it saved us a lot of money. And I love secondhand stores, but stores that are specific to secondhand stores for families with young children who are going to be growing and getting out of clothes faster than you can even say, secondhand shop. It's really nice to have a place like that right in town. And I've been loving that, and it's been making it a lot easier to donate her clothes because you know that you're going to get something that's going to fit her in return. And so for me, if you've seen my last video, I said that my parents have always been a sanctuary for me, and being back with them for the month of August, but even being close to them in this move for the last 4 to 5 months have really been a cocoon. And I feel like that time that I've had to process, that I've had to problem solve, has just been, and learn lessons of letting go. Like, that's been the biggest one, I think. And so it's just been really nice to be in an environment that is safe and is comfortable and has that home feel I feel everyone always is searching for. And yes, I have that feeling with my own husband and my own family, but to be able, and I feel like parents are always the givers to their children, as they should be. But sometimes parents don't always know how to take care of themselves, because we're always trying to make sure our kids have what they need. And to have the opportunity to still have my parents still do that for me at this phase in my life has been such a blessing. And so I'm going to end it here and then talk about week 3 in the next video. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful night. I hope everyone's finding peace in these nights leading up to Christmas or whatever holiday and celebrations that are lived and that are cherished in your families. And I hope talking about the things in these videos that are either stressful or just are happy, is giving other people room to reflect on the things that happened within this year for them, and what lessons they might have learned, or what things that they have seen now in another light, now that time has passed. And so I love you all, and take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.